Hello and welcome to part 4. So this should be our final section today. As with the others, I have logged myself in at the next location for this section. So let's get started. Alright, so somebody's been here. Didn't need this. Well, yeah, if you didn't need it, you didn't have to take it, but never mind. Okay. Unless you're referring to the piece of lemon. Sorry, not lemon, melon. Can't even tell the difference between a green and yellow fruit. Right, so that's there. Okay, so let's just check the next coordinates and get in the air and we'll make a start. So, right, so we need to head north, not south. See? Already going the wrong way. Sorry, I'm now entering into a giggle fit. Yes, that did seem to be the theme of my videos, is me heading in the wrong direction. I never realised I did it quite so much. And me face palming things. There we go. We'll pretend that never happened. Okay, so we're pretty good on the XY, so the X coordinates. So we'll just get a bit of air. There we go. Right, so it's Sunday morning for me. So the lag might be a bit of an issue. I'm hoping to get this done before too late because it's a Sunday and there's a certain YouTuber who uploaded a video yesterday who might stream, and when he streams, people do try and lag the server a lot. So that would probably make it pretty much impossible for me to do this video. Right. So there's a couple of things I need to address from yesterday, part 3. First one is I mentioned about entity speed, and I was saying about boats. The speed you get with boats is when it's in water using entity speed. If it's on land, you don't get 45 kilometers an hour. It's more like 4 kilometers an hour. It's a lot slower than if you're walking. Right, so we're pretty close. Just about 50 blocks this way and just a little bit south. And we should be there. So a little bit of an overshot, but sometimes it's very hard to land exactly where you want to be, so we need to go about 100 blocks to the south by the looks of it. So yes, I do apologise for giving you incorrect information concerning the use of entity speed and boats. I think it's on this island here. Alright, so another thing I need to mention is something with a name popped up when I was flying around, and I didn't spot it because it literally popped up for a second as I was flying around. Right, okay, so this one's gone, so we just need to put a item frame up. So I'll come back to what I was saying because it is important, and it's something. Actually, we don't need that, do we? And let's start using the quick way of doing things. It is an issue that people will find on 2B. So let's just get this placed, and I'll carry on and explain what I'm talking about. So we need to go north. Let's just get back in the air, or at least try to. Okay, let's just head over here. So we've got a little bit of height to jump off from. So though I'm using Electrifly, I do find I still need to jump off something. Normally, because of the settings I've got, I only need to jump off maybe 2 or 3 blocks high, and that is sufficient. There we go. We're good. Right, so yes, it was a wither name, and it literally popped up for a second. And the name contained an offensive word. This is, how to put it, it's not uncommon. Now, some of the gear I have, also the names of the items contain offensive words, racist, homophobic, sexist, just, yeah, words that you would not normally use day to day. If I could rename stuff, I would, because I don't really want to associate with that sort of language. Unfortunately, the amount of levels I would need to rename some of these items, I need 30 plus levels to rename some of them. So unfortunately I can't. So I've tried to spread it out a bit so it's not, the kits don't all have a full set of armour with a racist name attached to it. So I do apologise if occasionally things pop up either in chat or with the names that do have these sort of words. They're not clever when people use them. Unfortunately, if I don't spot it, there's not much I can do. I will try and edit it out if possible. So I will, the video for yesterday, I'm going to see if I can either blur it out, or if I have to, I'll just cut that little section. So yes, it does bring me on to this as a whole. So you'll quite often see people using these sort of words on signs and in chat. The people in chat are a small minority of the players. Very few players actually post in chat unless they're messaging people directly. I do leave chat on simply because I have occasionally had direct messages from people. And also, if the server's about to restart, a message will pop up in the chat beforehand. So that's why I tend to leave it on. The people that do post these sort of comments sort of thing, I just see them as noise. They are like little children jumping up and down going, look at me, look at me, look at me. Aren't I clever? Aren't I brave? Don't you think I'm a tough person because I'll use these words in a chat on a server where nobody knows who I am, nobody can see me or speak to me direct. Ooh, okay. Sorry, slightly distracted here. Yep, this is fairly new. Might just go down and have a little peek. There is some signs. I think I have been here. There is some signs of destruction here. Now, if you hear any screaming outside, that's my neighbour. His grandson is visiting and they're doing some work outside. And he does have quite a few dogs. So his grandson, I think, is about 6 or 7. So yeah, it's just a small boy being a small boy outside. Right, anyway, yeah, so saying about the sort of comments that you'll sometimes come across. Sometimes it'll be on signs, sometimes it'll be in chat. It is literally somebody being very, very juvenile who feels safe saying these things, which they would never actually say in real life in front of people because they know they'd probably get their butt kicked. But they feel safe and they think it makes them look clever. And the fact is, it doesn't. Most players aren't impressed. They're not impressed by that sort of language. They're not impressed by other players that do that. In most cases, we just ignore them because it is attention seeking. These players are going, ha, look at me, look at me, look at me. Pay attention, pay attention. I will say these words. I will use these phrases. Aren't I clever? And it's like, no, you're not. So that is something to be wary of. If you find that sort of thing, you're sensitive to that sort of thing, which, yeah, I can understand why you might be, because it isn't pleasant, and we'll ignore the fact that I just tried to take off there and failed miserably. And yeah, it's not sort of language that people should be using. But saying that, this is an anarchy server. There is no rules. People can say those things if they want to, and there's nothing to stop them from doing so. But how you respond to it is up to you. I prefer to just ignore it, because they're doing it simply because they want attention. Simply because they want people to acknowledge them saying it, and they want to get that rise. By ignoring them, not taking the bait, you're denying them the very thing they're after and the very reason they're doing it. Now, You might disagree with me on that, and that's perfectly fine. That's everybody's has their own opinion and deals with this sort of thing in their own way. If I heard somebody using those words in front of me in real life, then yes, I would want to give them a big slap. And in fact, whenever I have come across people using that sort of language, I do speak out. But in a situation like this, I find speaking out is going to have the opposite effect, because they feel they've got the very thing they wanted, which is you paying attention to them. Alright, so rant over on that one. I've just noticed my wings were a little bit scuffed, so I may have to stop at the next one and pull out some XP bottles. We should be 8342. I think we may have just might be here somewhere. Okay, could be that there. So 8811. So this theory is looking a bit blown up. I'm not sure if it was always like this, but here we go. I think it's on the other side of this. Oh yeah. So this one's found quite late. Now, this is where I have problems with signs. Because I'm in the UK, we do the dates, the day, the month, the year. Because that's how we say it. We'll say the 12th of November. 14th of June. However, other countries, as in way like America, will do it the other way. Will do month, day, year. And I suspect that's because that's how you say it. You will say June the 4th. March the 15th. So you write it as you say it. So when I come across a sign like this, I don't know, did this person find it on the 11th of October or the 10th of November? So when I do signs now with dates, I tend to write the month. So I'll put, if I write a sign today, I'll put on the 27th November. That way then it's clear what the date is. So just thought I'd mention that. It does add some confusion. Occasionally we do get some which it's obvious which way around it is. Right, so we need some XP. I'm going to have to get some more out of one of my other chests soon. So this is my general flying box. I normally just keep fireworks and spare leeches and XP bottles. But I do, as you can see, I've got my spare armor kit, spare fireworks, shulker shells, gaps, totems. I've got quite a few of XP because they're the things I use up the most. So, okay, so that is my rant over on how some people sort of behave. Right, oh yes, the whole point of getting the XP was so I could repair my elytra. Now this, I'm sorry to say, I didn't know was a thing until a month or so ago. I went through so much XP because I was repairing my wings while still having my armour on. And of course, it was taking like a full stack to get the wings repaired. I didn't realise that if you take your armour off, all the XP then gets sent straight to just the wings. So I think with this version, the way it works, you throw down it, you pick up the XP, it goes, okay, what have you got in your slots? Right, okay, so you've got armour, okay, so you've got a helmet on. Okay, so we'll allocate this to the helmet. Oh, the helmet doesn't need it, therefore we'll stick it straight in your XP bar. Okay, we'll allocate this one to the boots. Okay, the boots don't need it. It goes to the XP bar. So it doesn't go direct to where it's needed. It's random about which slot it goes to. So if you don't have any helmet on or boots on, I think there might be a wither nearby by looking at that. It knows that you've got nothing in those slots, so it doesn't try and send the XP there. And therefore, it's going straight to where it's needed. Now, unfortunately, this doesn't work so much if you're holding things in your offhand. If you've got no armour on and you're holding stuff on the offhand, it doesn't automatically send it to that, which is a bit of a pain, especially if you're trying to repair stuff at like a grinder or something. Right. There's a wither nearby, but we're not going to worry about him. So this is a newish base somebody's built. Quite pretty. I'm going to be honest. It's not going to survive very long. But we're not going to investigate anything because we don't need anything and they probably need it more than us. It's not a good idea to build your base that close to spawn. Because next time I fly past, that probably won't be there anymore. So yes, building bases. What's the best thing to do? So, as you saw, my spawn base was literally a hole in the ground. I made no attempt to build anything. Right, sorry, let's come back to that in a second. This is what I remember it being. This is a little bit bizarre. Somebody has made a massive water cube, and it goes all the way up to build height. And it's not just a little bit, it goes a long way. So there's ice on top of it and everything. And the whole area is flooded. Okay, so no, maybe it's not the one I thought of. Either that or we're just lagging. No, so there is another one which is far more massive. And it just goes over multiple chunks. It's just this giant water cube. Very, very strange. Right, so we are coming... Right, so we're above where we need to be. Because we're quite high up having to clear that. So yes, so bases. Making a spawn base when you start, yeah, somewhere safe for you to start gathering resources and sort yourself out. As a rule, I'd say try and avoid doing any building at that point, because you're not going to be staying there very long and it's high risk. Okay, so skip that. Big thanks. Cool. Yeah, so try and avoid building at this point. Save actually building structures other than maybe a basic hut until you go to make your main base. Around spawn, I wouldn't say there's any safe distance. I did just do the right box then, didn't I? Sorry, I just have visions of me putting like a box of fireworks out or something. That would be painful. That would hurt. Yeah. So building, so building near spawn is always going to be temporary. Too many people are flying around all the time. So going to a great deal of effort of building a base in the spawn area is not a good idea. So what classes as the spawn area? So this one we need... Sorry, bear with me 1 second. So this one's a little bit weird in how locations work. Yeah, so I have 3 classifications which I personally use when it comes to talking about spawn. You have spawn itself, which is the area where you'll spawn into the game. So that's like the first 2,000 blocks. Then you have what I refer to as the spawn region. So that's the area immediately around that. So up to about 30 to 50k out. That's where you'll see the most destruction and activity. As you've seen. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought there. Yes, that's where you'll see the most of the activity, the most destruction. Then you have your greater spawn region, which personally for me is up to about the first 100k out, between 100 and 150k out. So while you might think, yes, 150k out, that's a good way out, that should be safe, it's not. When you think about it, 100k in the overworld is only 12,500 in the nether. So it's not far at all. Okay, so the server's not responding, so okay, we're back. So yeah, so that's one of the things you need to consider, is not so much how far out you are in the overworld, but how far out you are in the nether. So yeah, so people do build, and you might find the occasional place up to the... Okay, this is just not loading. Let's just... okay, server's not responding again. Yeah, this is possibly going to be a bit of an issue today, is the server not responding. Now, my internet's working fine, so it's not me dropping internet, it's the actual server itself. So I think we're about to get kicked because it's gone past the 20-second mark, and normally it'll kick back in within that. There we go, we've just been kicked. So let's go back to server list. So I can see it's not my internet. Okay, it's back. Right, let's try and log back on. So, I do apologise for that. I suppose, realistically, I could have just paused the recording at that point. So yeah, so when deciding where you build, it's not just how far out you're in the overworld you need to take into consideration, it's how far out you are in the nether. Now, I'm not saying you can't build close in, there are places. There was quite a pretty house that wasn't far from my spawn base, and that lasted a good 6 months before it got griefed. So it can happen, so it's not impossible for that to happen. I do apologise for this taking so long. I knew it was a bit of a risk doing this today, especially as on a Sunday the server can be very laggy. But since we are pretty much halfway through, I think it's worth carrying on. But what I am going to do now is I'm going to pause the recording for a little bit until we actually log in, because it's taken a little while to log in, so I think I'm going to get kicked again. Alright, so hopefully we'll be back in a minute. There we go, we're back again. Yeah, I had to relog again. It just wasn't logging in, but we are back. So, yeah, again, I apologise. This is likely to be a bit of an issue today. It's just one of those things sometimes. Lag is a bit of an issue, especially when you get a day when you're going to have quite a few people on. Okay, so this is another one gone. So this quarter, for some reason, I do generally find... there's another chest over there, saves me placing one. Gets a lot more traffic. Don't know why that is, but for some reason it seems to get a lot more traffic than some of the others. I think we'll pull a second one out ready as well. So we may find very few of the kits left in this one. Right. Okay, so yes, base building. There we go. So when you do decide to make your main base, there's a couple of little things I would suggest. Try and avoid any main highways or significant milestones. So, don't build at 1 million exactly, because that will be very quickly found, because people do deliberately go out and will pop in and out. Sorry, this was just curious about this. I think I remember this. It was a melon farm. Yeah, so anything like that, dead on a significant figure, you're going to get found quite quickly. 61. So we need to go itself. Next thing I'd suggest, don't put your nether portal next to your base, because that's what people are using to find bases. They're in the nether, they're looking for portals, and then if your portal's right next to your base, they're coming out straight at your base. You love it, don't you really, the lag? So yeah, so try and have your portal a bit away from the base as possible. So for me personally, I've placed my portal 10,000 blocks away from my base. Yes, 10,000 blocks. Now, no, there's very obviously then somebody could just follow my trail. So people with hacks, you can use on sorry, losing the ability to speak. On a number of the clients, there's a feature called New Chunks, which allows you to see chunks that haven't been loaded before, and that can be used to help track bases. So what I've done is I've loaded as many chunks as possible in multiple directions. And I've gone quite a good distance in different directions to make it harder for anybody to know which direction I've actually gone in. So that's another thing to consider, is laying down false trails. So don't have your portal too close to your base. And then don't just use a straight line constantly back and two, because that's just too easy to find. You want to make it hard for people to know which direction you've travelled in. Right, so we should be close. 6. So 100061. So yeah, we may need to go a little bit north on that one. And 6941. So we've overshot slightly in this way. Why would this surprise you? I overshot slightly. Why? Why are we surprised at this point? But yeah, so other than that, there isn't really much you can do. The only thing I'd say is the more people you know, the more likely you are to be found. If you're basing on your own, don't maybe make a point of announcing where you are. But if you're basing with friends, then you're going to have to trust each other to a certain degree. But try and avoid maybe showing any pictures or showing it in any videos. Because I don't know how it works, but apparently it's possible to find locations based on the terrain. I have heard that's doable. Right, so this is a bit... Okay, so you're going to have to bear with me a second because we should be pretty much there. So we should be at 100061. So we need to go a little bit north. Just a smidge. 61. I have a funny feeling it might have been on that building there, but maybe not. And then 6941. So we need to go this way a little bit forward. Yeah, so this could be, unfortunately... Oh, no, sorry, this way. Yes, my apologies. 6941. So it might be over by these trees here. Right. There we go. Oh, the item frame's still there, so they took the item frame down. That's an old sign. Okay, so that's quite an old sign, so there's no sign by whoever took it. But this probably wasn't one of the better places to put it. I think in this quarter it was a little bit harder finding perfect locations. So, anyway, that's back. Okay, so away we go again. So we've only got another 3 to go. And we're done. So, yeah, so bases. The more people know, the more risk of it being found. Also, showing screenshots, posting videos of the actual base can also result in it being found. Like I say, I don't know how it works, but I know it does work. So that's one of the reasons why I won't show a video of my base until either A, I've moved, or B, it's already been griefed. At which point then it doesn't matter because it's already griefed. But there are bases out there today that haven't been found. So, it's not a case of don't bother making one. If you want to make a base, certainly do so. Just try and take a bit of precaution about how you do it and where you do it. Okay, so let's get ourselves onto the correct Z axis. So we need to be on 94 on that one. Oh, we have a few withers nearby. Let's just get a bit of air. Don't really fancy dealing with 3 of them. Okay, so he's down there. It's one of the things I do like about shaders, is being able to see the outline of withers. It is quite amusing. It's also very helpful because your name pops up and you're there thinking, oh, right, there's a wither, but you're not 100% where he is. And quite often he's going to be low down, he's out of the way. So he's not going to cause you any problems. Oop, see, now he's there to surface, so, and so is him, so we don't want to go and say hello to them just yet. Right, so you will see some symbols quite often repeated. Some of them, yes, are in reference to, shall we say, fascist regimes. I used to go make a point of always destroying them when I come across them, but to be honest, if I continue doing that, that's all I'd ever be doing. So it's you become numb to it to a certain degree, and you sort of have to. And it amuses me that if they really knew what that symbol meant, the people using it probably wouldn't, because that twisted cross that I'm referring to was originally a Hindu symbol meaning balance and unity. It's actually had peaceful connotations until it was taken by a total lunatic and twisted. Now, unfortunately, that's never going to be able to be used in its original meaning ever again, because of the actions of that total. Well, I don't think there's any language strong enough to describe that person. And that we know who I'm referring to, and the fact that he was pure evil. And to be honest, yeah, his name really should just be ignored in that, because he should be forgotten, wiped from history. I think that would have probably hurt him far more than anything else. The knowledge that we just going to wipe all knowledge of his ever existence away from history. Unfortunately, would mean then forgetting everything he did and all those people who suffered. So it's a hard one. Okay, I'm getting a bit political here. Oh dear. So, yeah, I describe myself as a liberal anarchist. I don't really do well with authority, but I believe in everyone's right to live. If somebody wants to call me a snowflake, I'll take that title and wear it with pride. Because for me, when somebody calls me a snowflake, they're picturing something small and delicate. I'm picturing a blizzard. And I always like to say, yeah, it takes one snowflake to trigger an avalanche, so feel free, and I'll happily bury you. So, yeah. So that's something I'd say to people. If people are using things to sort of demean you and demean your opinions because it's not what they think, and therefore they want to belittle you and weaken you, take the title they give you and own it with pride. Make it yours. Don't give them the satisfaction of believing that they've got you. Take it and run with it. Because that's the best way you've got of defeating them. Right, so I think it's over here. And you were close. Like I said, this one's a bit awkward because there was no real good locations. Ah, yeah, so it was here. Okay, just north here. Okay. So I think that was after the first one. Possibly that was after the second one. So there's a sign on the other side. Let's just have a look. Alright, no idea what that says. Yeah, so I do apologise. The video today has been a little bit more, the conversation's been a little bit more intense, but I think it's one of those things that has to be talked about because of the nature of the server and because of some of the nature of some of the players. You have to be prepared for how some people will behave. And as much as you might not like it and disagree with them and think they need a good kick in, unfortunately, they have as much right to voice their opinion as we do. The problem is, quite often they will then try and demean you and your opinion because they know their opinion is weak, and they're trying to make theirs a bit stronger by weakening you. So my advice to people is always, don't let them. Just simply don't let them. Don't play their game the way they want it playing. Ooh, that's a bit weird. Play it the way you want to play it. So if they want to try and weaken your viewpoints and weaken your beliefs by demeaning you, the only way that works is if you actually value their opinion. So if somebody's going to try and weaken you in that way by calling you names, saying horrible things about you, well, why is their opinion of any value then? Because they're not backing it up with any useful arguments, no facts, case of, well, it's actually this because of X, Y, and Z. They're basically saying, oh, it's this because you're being weak and delicate. It's like, no. We're saying it's this because of X, Y, and Z. You're saying it's this because we're weak and delicate. Yeah, not much of an argument there. So that's one thing I'd say to anybody, is be prepared to hear and see things that you disagree with and don't like. Unfortunately, like I say, while those sorts of comments and words shouldn't be really accepted and tolerated, they have as much right to make them, unfortunately, as we have the right to stand against them. Okay, so this one, was found then. So I think the last time I did the run round, I did do it all in one go. I think the first time I placed the kits out, I did it section by section. So there was like several weeks between each area, and then when they got replaced last time, I carried them all in one go. So I think some of these signs were from the first run. Okay, so we have just one more to go. Now it'll be interesting to watch this back and see how long this one is. When I first decided to do these, I thought it'd take me maybe 20 minutes to do a run around and place the kits. Was I wrong? The first one was a little over, about 35 minutes. So was the second one. The third one is nearly 50 minutes long. How it takes me that long? And now I wasn't even having trouble getting into the air on that one either. That's how long it takes. So it'll be interesting for me to see how long this one takes. So let's see. Let's find something a little bit more easier to talk about. So yeah, what springs to mind straight away is the ongoing joke of this being referred to as a family-friendly Christian Minecraft server. It always amuses me, that. But at the same time, well, I certainly wouldn't say it's family-friendly. If any server should have a age rating, it's this one. Definitely don't think anybody under the age. We are going wrong. Okay. What the hell? Right, so we need to be heading south. Yeah, guys, I was completely going in the wrong direction then. Yeah. So yeah, if any server deserves an age rating, it's this one. Really should have an 18 certificate on this. Or certainly nobody under the age of 15 should be allowed to log in. But it's not all bad. A lot of the issues that I've mentioned this time around have been a very small minority. And that's it. It really is a small minority of people. A good chunk of the player base on here are out at their bases or follow the nomad existence, where they just travel around. They're maybe a member of a few of the groups. Yes, it's like some of the groups you'll hear about, like the griefing groups and such. But there's a lot of groups there on here that aren't here to cause trouble or here to actually do things that help players, such as the Highway Guild, the new one now, the Southern Canal guys. There's that build ones at Dunfure. There's a few others as well who actually work to make the server a better place. Now, I'm not a Christian. I don't really subscribe to any religion whatsoever. I think all religions are written by people, by men. Well, when I say man, I'm not referring to just the gender. I'm referring to us as a species, Homo sapiens. And we put our own spin on things. So yeah, I do have some beliefs that I follow. I believe in treating people fairly, judging people by how they behave, not as by their community at large. I don't judge the many by the actions of the few. Okay, we have we have massively overshot to the west there, so we're gonna have to backtrack. And we've massively overshot to the south. Oh my god! How did I manage to get that so bad? Honestly. Oh yeah. So yeah, I judge people by their own actions, not by community at large, or, to be honest, the actions of a few. Because what you tend to hear about, when you hear bad things about people or about a particular group or community, is the actions of a couple of people, not the actions of the community at large. So I always prefer to judge people for themselves. Alright, so we have overshot again slightly, so we need to head just a little bit back to the west. Okay, we're not doing well on this. And back to the south. Yeah, doing well. Yes, that's where I'm very much a liberal in. I prefer to judge people for who they are. Now, I live in an area where recently, a hotel has been taken over by the government to be used for asylum seekers. My opinion to that when I heard was, yeah, fine. I have no problem with that. When I've heard a few people complaining, about, oh, they're going to have trouble, why are they bringing them here? Shouldn't they take them somewhere else? And the usual comments like, oh, they should go back to their own country. My response has always been to that. When you live their life, you can have an opinion. Until you've had their life and had their experiences, you don't get to have opinion what's best for them or right for them, because you have no idea what their life has been. Same as I don't know what other people's lives have been. So I'm not going to say, oh, well, you should do this, should do that, because I've not experienced their life. And that's the thing I always say is, until you've had somebody's life, you don't get to have an opinion on that person's life. And tell them how they should live it, or what's right for them or wrong for them. Right, so I think this okay. Yes. Yeah, I remember these. Yeah, so these have been here a while. I don't know if they were there before or after I'd placed that shulker there, the original one. I remember seeing them when I came to replace this last time. So, like I was saying, trying to stay below the radar. And then, two people who are, Ninja Wallace is well known on the server, and I do believe, he has a sub YouTube channel. And then, don't know about Cody Smile, whether he has YouTube or not. But he's starting to become a little bit more known. He's spending a lot of time traveling, and his name's starting to crop up more and more often. So anyway, right, so that's the last kit. There we go. Got to press that again. So I do apologise. It's been a little bit of a rant day today, but I think it was a topic that needed addressing because it's thing that you can't ignore when you're on this server. There are things that you're going to see which you're not going to be happy with, that might offend you. Unfortunately, while you can't stop people saying what they say and writing what they do, what you can control is how you react to it. So anyway, thank you for listening. Once again, I apologise for the rant and massively overshooting on this last one. But I will say, if you are ever thinking of joining this server, it is challenging, but I enjoy it. I really do enjoy playing it on here. So I'm Old Lady North. Hopefully you have a good experience if you ever do join, or maybe you're already on here. So just like to wish you a good rest of your day, and this is me signing off. Bye.